if you're calling to check in, like we always make the joke of like, you want to hear the most annoying sound in the world? What you got cooking in the pipeline? When are you going to send a deal my way? I'm like, stop those calls, please. Everyone hates them.
Welcome back to Good Better Broker as we welcome in Mitch Hamilton. He is the CEO of 3 Point Mortgage, and he is based in Denver, Colorado. Mitch, great to have you here.
I appreciate you having me.
So a bit about you for our listeners. You founded 3 Point Mortgage back in 2022. No coincidence, by the way. You used to play college basketball, hence the name 3 Point Mortgage. You're a top 1% LO nationally, and you got into the business back in 2016. Mitch, I want to ask you, when you think about lead flow and loyalty, establishing both of those things, what comes to mind for you in the most impactful ways you've been able to do it?
Truly finding a way to just take care of people. Make it people first, find a way to just bring value to their lives. And it's funny, like now it's almost to the point where if I need to go generate business, I just pick up the phone and start calling past clients and just having conversations, and it naturally just leads to business.
I'm glad you brought that up because a lot of LOs, and especially right now, they have a tough time getting their past clients to even pick up the phone. But you were telling me that you don't have that issue at all. Why is that the case?
Even hearing that's so foreign to me. Like I've even had multiple clients have said, like, I always answer the phone when Mitch calls because I know he's either calling to provide me something that I didn't know I need, or he's calling to save me money. So it's my answer rate. I've never tracked my answer rate, but I'd say it's in 80-90% of past clients when I call. It's just finding different ways to really kind of stay in touch, and as opposed to calling and saying like, hey, what's up? Just checking in. Like, yeah, that's a terrible phone call to make. I realized early on I was trying to do that, and I was like, these conversations are hard. These conversations suck. So then I just found, how do we bring different ways, different kind of value points throughout the year to really drive home value and just call with a purpose.
It's so funny you say that because how often do you hear check in with your past clients? It's like the term that we always use, but it's such a bad way to go about it if you actually want them to answer the phone, right?
100%. I mean, I think, we were talking about it a little bit, but it's like that study that came out that it's like you can only have 50 friends. Like, you can only have 50 close friends. You can't have 1,000 friends. It's just, there's not enough hours in the day. So it's this whole notion of like, oh, you're just going to call in and check in and be buddy with every single client you've ever had. I'm like, that's just not possible.
That percentage that you mentioned earlier, having that many of your clients answer the phone, that doesn't just happen overnight. So thinking back to when you first started, putting this strategy in place where you were providing actual value to your clients, how did you go about building up that kind of connection with them to make them do that?
Absolutely. I mean, it starts with giving that a great kind of upfront process, right? Give them a good experience when you first come in. Like I'm still a big proponent of like, I would love to take every application over the phone, but most people apply online these days. And but that way there's even a fun bar trick that I have of like the first 3 of your social indicate where you were born. So it's like mine's 328. I'm from St. Louis. Most people from Colorado are 523. It's the greatest bar trick ever of like, hey, what's the first 3 of your social? I can try and pinpoint where you're originally from, and if I get close, you owe me a beer. So it's, starting to build that kind of relationship up front. And then if I get their hometown, I'm naturally going into sports. I'm, closing gift, I'm going to send you like, a keychain from your hometown of some sports memorabilia, something like that that's meaningful to you, as opposed to, just something kind of generic. So
to contextualize this a little bit for our listeners, and the why behind your approach to your clients, to your borrowers, you were telling me this great story about an interaction that you had with a realtor some time ago, and this was kind of a turning point for you to show you why you were not going to rely solely on real estate agents for business.
100%. I mean, that was ultimately the massive turning point in my entire career. Was I had my top partner. I reached out to him just to thank him for being my top referral partner. I believe this was in 2020 or 2019 actually. So I thanked him for being my top referral partner, and he immediately just said, I'm making you rich. What are you doing for me? Send me somebody looking to buy $1 million home. I was like, I'm living in a $270,000 townhome. Like, I don't run in those circles, right? You can only have 50 friends. Like, I don't have friends buying $1 million homes. So it was just that moment. I was like, I looked at my numbers. I was like, man, if this guy fires me, like, my income's going to drop by 40%. Like, I have a wife. I have a house. Like, can't do that. So it really was like this turning point of like, I have to find a way to generate my own business. I can't be beholden to anybody else to provide for my family. Like that just goes against almost like as a man, like can't let somebody else control your family like that.
Well, it's just interesting that one conversation really opened your eyes to the way that you were going to, kind of navigate moving forward. And one of the ways that you like to offer value to your clients and actually get them to pick up the phone, like we were talking about earlier, is with this tax appeal strategy that you have. It's very interesting. So I want you to tell us how this works.
So it's so funny. In the state of Colorado, every other year is a reassessment year, and you're only allowed to appeal your taxes in the month of May. So what I kind of really found out, I systematized it to this point. The first year, it was just fumbling through the whole thing of learning how it actually works. And like I had bought my house for $273. I get my assessment the next year, and my assessment came back at $330. I was like, how? Like I just bought this thing I have an appraisal. This makes absolutely no sense. So I went to the county, and they were like, well, if you don't like it, appeal it. I'm like, so you're just grossly overtaxing people and assuming they'll know to appeal? Like, well, we sent you a little postcard in the mail. I'm like, well, then I started calling all my clients. I was like, do you know about this? Have you appealed your taxes? They're like, you can do that? Like, okay, I'll add yours to the list. I'll knock yours out too. And from there, it was like, it just became a really good value add. It was like the first year I only did probably like 20 or something like that. And it just continued scaling and scaling. And then I learned kind of the psychology behind referrals. And then once I heard in my head of, hey, who do you know that owns a home who wants to save money on taxes? Everybody says, haha, everyone. And I'm like, yeah, we don't have time to help everyone. While I'm doing yours, who's your favorite neighbor that I can help appeal their taxes? And then once I get the neighbor, hey, I'd love to help. Do your parents own a home? Do your siblings own a home? Happy to help them too. And that just created this snowball effect. And, it just kept growing and growing and growing up until, I think our biggest year doing it, 2022. I always had a goal of getting my database to 1,000 homeowners. And in 2022, we actually ended up doing 1,200 tax appeals. We generated 400 referrals just in the month of May.
It's an incredible figure, and it all came from your own personal experience of getting that notification that your taxes had gone way up.
Yeah, and then so really the process is so simple. It's pulling 3 comps that have sold in the area in this rolling 24-month average. You pull 3 comps, you send it in, and even like finding the links. The counties change the links every single year of like where you can appeal. So then all of a sudden it's like I'm on the phone with one of the counties in Colorado, and I couldn't find the link. The person on the phone, she's like, yeah, I'm trying to find it. They just moved it. I'm like, look at this. What are we doing? Like, if I know what I'm looking for, I can't find it. I'm calling you. You can't find it. You work there. What chance does the average homeowner have of actually doing this? Like, they're going to look for 5 minutes, get frustrated, and stop. So that's where it was. Like, we're not allowed to actually be the one to push the button and file it for our kind of clients, but it's like we're going to package everything up where it's like, hey, here's the appeal form, here's your comps, here's the link to go appeal, here's what you should say.
What kind of feedback have you gotten, from the people who you've helped with this?
I mean, as you can imagine, it's nothing but raves. A lot of, why aren't you charging for this? And I just, it's like, have you seen how much we make in mortgages? Like I said, it all goes to the data of, it's a data-driven business, and understanding that, the average American has 11 mortgages in their lifetime. The average life of a loan is 4.5 years. So then I was just like, that's where I got that 1,000 homeowner number, where it was like, as long as I can just get that number up to 1,000 people and provide a good service to them, I don't have to prospect. I don't have to be relying on realtors. I don't have to really do anything except give small value adds to those 1,000 people over the course of the year. And then when the time comes, even if I bat, 50% on those people, I'll never worry about leads ever again.
On the subject of data, Mitch, you are always looking at the numbers to find ways to provide value to your clients, one of them being the tax strategy. What are some other ways that you're leveraging data to build that trust and loyalty with your clients?
Absolutely. So what I really kind of found, I just took a deep dive of you can't do a tax appeal every month. They only let you do it in May. So then it was like, okay, this can't be just one time a year I'm able to generate business. Like, I got to do something the rest of the year. So then I just kind of thought other opportunities of, where are people lacking, good professional services? Where are people lacking things? Where do people constantly need help? So then it was like, okay, find a good referral source. So for Q2, I had that locked in of that's going to be their tax appeal. Then for new people, it was like the next quarter, I'm going to call every single person all the new people that just came in, and I'm going to call them and be like, hey, do you at least have a life insurance policy that covers the loan amount should you pass? Like some people call it a mortgage protection plan, some people call it a ton of different things, but it's like the term life policies are super cheap. I'd love to get you over to my financial advisor. I don't have any stake in this, just providing a service. Same kind of thing. Everybody calls me and they're already kind of have me top of mind because I just helped them with the appeal. They're calling to see if I heard news. Like that typically is like I call them in the next quarter and they're like, oh my gosh, did you hear? And I'm like, no, I don't get your mail. But it's the, we call, I get them over for, life insurance policy. And then in the fourth quarter, I found, if you try and wait until January, February, or most people March, April to find a good CPA, they're busy. So I have an amazing CPA. His name's Dat Lee. Absolutely love him. And we've referred hundreds of people over to him in Moda Financial. And so then it was in Q4. I'm like, hey, don't wait. Let's get you over to Moda right now. Find a good way. And then it's another good thing, too, of it's just another point to ask for referrals. Hey, who else do you know that owns a business who might need a good CPA? Shoot, do your parents have life insurance? And then in Q1, I found the way of estate planning. Going through the probate process, my gosh, once I heard about it, thankfully I've never had to go through it, but I've had clients that have had to go through it. It's just the worst thing you could possibly do at the time when it's someone passes. It's the worst moment of a lot of people's lives. And now you have to go to the probate courts. So I make sure I have a great estate attorney. So it's, and same kind of thing. Get them over to my estate attorney. Do your parents have a will? They should probably have a will. Let's get them over. And then we're already back in Q2. Then for those people, it's I do their tax appeal. I do a quick mortgage review, which I just try and break the ice with a lot of humor. So my past clients that really know me and I know their rate is 2.75%, I call them and I literally say, hey, mortgage review time, don't touch it, bye, and hang up. And then they call me back and they're like, well, hey, how are the kids?
You take the opposite approach of what most people do.
Right.
Which is great. It just struck me while you were talking about the different referrals that you have, all these people in the financial sector, whether it's a CPA, an estate attorney, whatever the case may be, you're referring people to them, and not that you're asking for it, but I'm sure they have people who they sit down with or talk to, that where I'm going with this, who are bound to ask them, hey, I'm looking for a new mortgage person, or my brother's looking for a mortgage advisor. Do you know anybody I can send him to?
It's so funny that I've had that thought in the past, and when I first on set with this, that was absolutely a part of the play. It was we called it the board of advisors, and it was every person needs their own individual board. And I thought this could just be a never-ending referral loop of people. And I realized some people that are fantastic at their job might not be fantastic at generating referrals. So it's if they have to rely on me to be the one generating the referrals to push to everyone, as long as people are doing a great job, I'm not keeping score. Dat has sent us people, Harrison has sent us people. There's been a trade of referrals, but I know the scoreboard's heavily in our favor, and I'm totally fine with that. They do an amazing job.
You mentioned this earlier, but you can't be friends with everybody. For you, you said the number is about 50 people. Mm-hmm. It's a data-driven business, but at the same time, you want to make sure that people feel like they are not just a number. How do you go about that, Mitch?
100%. The real kind of crux of it is once you provide those values, then it's once I've gone through the first year of referring to all my people, I don't do that every single year. I don't have 4 more people the following year to refer out. So it's really just the annual touch of, when I call them in May, we're doing a tax appeal where I'm just saying, hey, when was the last time you had your homeowner's insurance reviewed? And then let's look at your mortgage. Maybe you need a HELOC. Let me get you over to a credit union, something like that. But I kind of broke it down of looking at the PITI, and I'm like, why do we only focus on the P and the I? Let's look at the T and the I too, and just kind of give them that complete review. Then Josh Dutton in our office, who's way smarter than me, was like, you could call that the 3-point review. And I'm like, that's catchy. I probably should have thought of that. I have a degree in marketing, but yeah.
So the 3-point review, and also, like we said, the fact that you played college hoops, it all kind of just ties together very nicely in that way.
It's so funny. It was actually our insurance agent that named us Alex. So it was nothing basketball related at all.
right.
I could not come up with a name. I'm the least creative human being on the planet. So when I was talking to him about opening a brokerage, I was like, man, I can't figure this out. And he's like, well, what do you want it to be about? And I was like, I was in the correspondent world. I was interviewing around. It was just so frustrating. There was no honesty. There was no transparency in this business. Obviously, I built my whole business based on service and giving a better experience to people. And I was like, and then we're going to be brokers. So we're going to be way cheaper than everyone. And he was like, sweet. Don't say cheap, say value. He's like, call it 3 Point Mortgage, get a good triangle logo, throw honesty, service, and value at the bottom, and call it good. I was like, Google 3pointmortgage.com. Like, it's available. I'm like, man, everybody's going to think I'm corny, and it was a basketball thing. And you know what's funny? We've actually gotten more like, oh, so you're a Christian-based mortgage company. And I'm like, I met my wife in Catholic middle school. Yeah, sure. Let's go with that.
It's so funny how some of these people. I always wonder how people name their companies, and I'm glad we got to hear the story of how you named yours.
Right.
You're not creative as you just mentioned, but you are very good at staying on top of these past clients. And you have the different strategies with helping review various things that they have to look at financially and related to their mortgage. But Mitch, how do you make sure that you are staying on top of them and knowing where they're at all times so that you can be that person to provide the value?
It absolutely is just being more organized. I'm the guy that I have no red dots on my phone. I have no emails in my inbox. I don't have an assistant or any AI thing that I've been seeing now tracking and cleaning it out. It's just me. And then I just, I'm really organized with my data in my CRM. So I get the birthday alerts. I get everything about a week before their birthday. So it's, we send, the only other thing we kind of do outside of that, we put them on HomeBot so that they see us once a month. I have our realtors, we created something called a sold home alert where once a month they get a list of all the properties that sold in their neighborhood. So between that and HomeBot, there's 24 touches. I asked my realtors that I choose to partner with, and now it's just an amazing thing that we turn the tables. I'm like, so why should I work with you? I don't need realtors. I know they're a necessity, and there's a handful of really good ones that we really like partnering with, but by no means do we need a realtor. I don't know the last time I called or cold called a realtor. It's years. But it's, finding that way to also have them stay in touch with that sold home alert saying, hey, just give them an annual CMA. That's all I'm going to ask of you guys. Between that and everything we do, we'll be fine. And then I just send them on their birthday, I send them a birthday card with a $1 scratch ticket. No business card, no call to action. It just says, if you win $1 million, you have to split it with me, Mitch. I get a call. Probably 95% of my clients call me and they're like, I didn't win. I'm like, send me the 50 cents. It's just having fun. So,
number one, you're a long ways from that conversation with the realtor who basically told you, like, I make you rich. What are you doing for me? And now you're where you are. To wrap this conversation up, Mitch, I just want to ask you for your message or your advice for anybody else listening to this. What would you tell them about trying to establish the consistent lead flow and the strong loyalty that you have with your database?
The biggest thing, if you want to go kind of my way of things, is just finding those value adds to call with a purpose. If you're calling to check in, we always make the joke of, you want to hear the most annoying sound in the world? What you got cooking in the pipeline? When are you going to send a deal my way? I'm like, stop those calls, please. Everyone hates them. So it's, I've never made that call. David Mackin in my office made that call, and I've beat the dead horse so dead. It's already buried. I unbury it and beat it more. But he made that call one time super early on, and ever since then he was just like, I get it. Call with a purpose, call with value, and there's just so many different ways. That's why this is great, because you get to hear all the different ways people have grown. It's you have to try and do it your way. My way of doing it doesn't work. For my partner DJ was like, if I were to restart my business, I'm like, get your list of homeowners, find your value adds, call and ask for referrals, build the list, provide it that way. DJ's like, I'm going to join a CrossFit gym, go Monday, Wednesday, Friday, join a second CrossFit gym for Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, join 4 different networking groups. And then DJ got alone standing in line at the airport the other day.
You never know.
Yep.
Well, it's great to just hear the way you do it, but I really do love your message too, that you got to do it authentically, and at the end of the day, be you. And obviously, you do it your way. It's worked out great. I love the touches of humor that you add as well. Hey, look, it's mortgages. You got to find some humor in every situation, right?
You have to, man. It can be such a stressful journey, and That's why we do love UWM, the speed of it all, because it cuts that stress out. It's such a big thing because we were closing loans in 10 days in the correspondent world, and those turn times, just getting them done in that contract that we were given, it was a little tight at times, but now it's you guys make it easy on us, so then it just lets us go have more fun.
Yeah, more time to crack jokes and close loans, which is great. Appreciate your time. It was great having you. Mitch Hamilton with 3 Point Mortgage. Thanks so much for being here.
Absolutely, appreciate it.
Thank you for watching Good Better Broker and helping us support independent mortgage brokers everywhere. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to be notified about new videos, as well as your preferred podcast platform for a new episode every other Tuesday.